What up? What up? What up? Hello, everyone. Phoenix, I think you're the only one here, which is good. I kind of actually just wanted to ask if everything sounds good, if everything looks good. This is a very rudimentary stream. I don't have anything flashy or anything like that, so you're just gonna see myself. You're gonna see co-host Gil, who
What's up,
sounds like a 30-year-old man
man?
but doesn't look like it. And then the TWAB this week in Destiny, this week at Bungie, this week at Bungie. So just wanted to know, as long as you can hear everything, as long as you can see everything, hopefully, hopefully that's good. We're literally just, I'm basically just streaming this Discord call, and hopefully that's good. Yes, good audio and video for both of you guys. Perfect. Okay then, we're going to jump right into it. Um, and we're gonna start just like I always do. What is up, Gear Squad? Chaingear here, bringing you another video. We'll probably change the intro, but we are doing a brand new podcast. We don't have a name for it yet. We've got a bunch of names floating around, but we don't have a name for it yet. Right now, we're just dubbing it the Destiny Podcast Project. So we'll figure that out once we come up with a name. Yes, Phoenix, I did get a fresh cut. You know what I'm saying? I had to go ahead and get that fresh cut. But yeah, we're pretty excited. We're doing a brand new podcast. It's all about Destiny. I love Destiny. I've been playing Destiny literally since it came out. Speaking of Phoenix, you and I started together. I played literally day one alpha, played day one beta, and then when it launched, I remember staying awake. Every time I play this game, I would always on launch day, I'd always stay awake from midnight or whenever the release was all the way till I couldn't stay up anymore. And usually it was because I had to go to class or something like that. So I absolutely love Destiny. Destiny 1 was a great game to me. But Destiny 2, a lot of things changed for me. I built a clan out called the Obsidian Gears. I absolutely love playing Destiny 2 with my friends. And while I built that clan out, I met the wonderful new co-host, Gilliard, otherwise known as TheHomieGil, otherwise known
I'm
as
getting it.
Gil. Yeah, I met Gil. He joined the clan, and literally the other day he was like, "Yo, why don't we start a podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't think there's anyone else that I could start a podcast with, because Gil knows pretty much everything about the lore of Destiny 2. He pretty much plays all of the content, even if it is reluctantly, like in a Crucible. But yeah, we kind of do it all. So Gil wanted to start a podcast, and I said, "Yo, I'm ready to do it." And I think most people in the Gear Squad know that I play a lot of Destiny, but I never really knew what I wanted to do with the game. Like I made a couple videos here and there, like a handful of videos, but it didn't speak to me in terms of like making videos like other games. I mean, I think you guys probably know Destiny has some huge content creators. One of the biggest Twitch streamers is Glad, and he literally plays Destiny. Only until recently he started. He only played Destiny, and recently he's been playing some single player games. But originally, all he did was play Destiny. So yeah, it's been kind of crazy. But I'm gonna pause there for a second. Gil, welcome. Thank you so much for even bringing this up. How you doing,
Yeah,
man? How's everything going?
I'm doing pretty good. I just got back to work today, so I'm a little bit tired, but we're still here doing it. I only brought this up to Chain one because I've always kind of wanted to do a podcast thing, and me and Chain like have literally just done streams talking about the TWAB, and we talk a lot. Like last time we talked for like 2 hours without even getting to the actual TWAB. We just talked about the update
Yep,
thing.
yep.
um,
And that wasn't
but
even on purpose.
that wasn't on purpose. I'm just so excited for Witch Queen. Um, but yeah. Uh, well, since we started talking about starts for Destiny, I bought Destiny in a vacation spot in Missouri.
Okay.
I was like, I saw it. I've been seeing this game around on like Twitch and YouTube and stuff, and I'm like, and I watched bias videos on it. Like I got invested in the lore before even playing the game,
Oh, that's wild.
and I was like, because I didn't have a job at the time. And I was like, Dad, can you buy this game for me? It's like $20. And he was like, yeah, I'll get it. And then I got into it, and then I realized there isn't a lot to this. And then I realized that there were 3 DLCs out already. So I had to buy the Taken King along with the bundle with House of Wolves and Crota. But basically, the entire time I was playing Destiny 1, I was a solo player. The entire time. I had friends, I had like 2 or 3 friends who like played with me during the Taken King before Rise of Iron came out. And we tried to 4-man VOG while we knew nothing about the game.
Yeah.
And that obviously we got to we almost beat the Templar actually. But we obviously did not beat it.
Yeah.
And then I played Rise of Iron by myself. And I enjoyed it. I thought Rise of Iron was great. They should have brought back the Plaguelands. But and then D2 came out, but I didn't really play it. I played the beta and then didn't really play it until the middle of like Warmind.
Sure.
And I got the Warmind and Curse of Osiris bundle that they had at the time. So I played through everything. Unlike now, where you only have to play through like Shadowkeep and Beyond Light, you had to play through Red War, Osiris, and Warmind.
Yep.
Arguably the 3 worst campaigns in the game.
Yep. I mean, Red War. I liked Red War campaign.
Yeah.
I actually liked Red War campaign, but
it was alright.
I thought it was good.
Better than D1.
Yeah, D1 campaign I think is like arguably the worst. But also it's the beginning, so it gets a pass, I think, in a lot of ways. Whereas like I think then it's Curse of Osiris is just absolutely garbage. I mean, I like Panoptes, like I that's the only part I like, but I mean it was just so bad outside of that. But when did we meet? When did we actually? It was recently. I mean, it wasn't even that long ago.
It was really recently. So my friend Matt Mitten.
Hey, Mitten.
Who I went to high school with, graduated with him. He got me back into it. I played a little bit of Forsaken, but not a lot of it. I didn't play anything to do with Shadowkeep at all. I was like drilled into battle royales at the time. And he was like, dude, Destiny's great right now. And I'm like, okay. So I bought Shadowkeep with like the annual pass, and I started literally in the middle of Season of Arrivals. And he was like, let me know if you ever want to do a raid. I'm part of a clan. Let's do it. And I was like, okay, I want to do, was it Leviathan or Last Wish?
Probably Leviathan. Because you haven't done Last Wish yet, right?
I've done it like 3 times with you.
Oh, okay.
I think that was it. I think Last Wish was the first. Like,
it was probably Last Wish then, because Last Wish.
Yeah.
Minton was brought on board by a bunch of other. Really, it was Moon. Moon brought a bunch of people on board, and taught them all Last Wish after I taught her Last Wish. So that was kind of the raid everybody would join in.
Yeah.
But Leviathan was really popular at that time, during Season of Arrivals. So, but probably Last Wish.
Yeah, I was watching, and then still in that downtime of me like not playing, I'm watching Bife, I'm watching Datto, I'm watching Astropro.
Yeah.
Still, so like I'm invested in the game while not actually playing the game.
Right.
And I played the raid, and you were there, and it was you, me, Darth, Minton, and Bullet.
Probably.
It was either Bullet or Russia, but and I had a great time. I was like, Chain, I'm digging it. Let me in. Now we're here.
Yeah, yeah. I'm so glad that I made the clan. I mean, it started back like a long time ago with me and Phoenix. Me and at the time, I guess Ballistic Phoenix, now Archaic Phoenix.
Hmm.
But yeah, we played it back like D1, and we just made the clan just cuz. And then I don't know if it was called, was it called Obsidian Gears back then? I don't remember. But all I know is that we didn't really do anything with it until D2.
Yeah.
Because D1 actually wasn't a great raiding experience for us. We played Vault of Glass, and we
Yeah.
were like, oh, we beat it, and we were like, this was terrible. Like we played with a bunch of like annoying people, and we were just like,
Right.
I can't do this. There was like a couple good folks in there, and we actually did have a couple people join the clan, but it wasn't like a, we weren't like, oh, let's play every day. Let's play like we definitely did a
Yeah.
bunch of other things. It was originally TBG. What was TBG? What did that stand for? Do you remember? Well, I don't remember, but like it was you, me, and T Will. Yes, good times, good times. Yeah. Was that really what it was called? I don't, dude. I don't know. Oh god. Okay, originally it was called TBG for three black guys. And honestly, I kind of believe that. I kind of
That's
believe that.
great.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. But yeah, so anyway, so we changed it to Obsidian Gears. I remember when we changed it because I remember D2 came out, Soraya Hawthorne comes out and she's like, "Hey, I heard about your clan." And we make the clan banner and me and Phoenix really got into the lore. So that was like, okay, yeah, let's do this. Let's do this thing. Let's find people. We grabbed like Mex and a couple other folks from Blacklight, my Blacklight days, but then we just started growing it organically. We would just meet people, add them in, and yeah, it was great. So yeah, that's me and Gil's story. This podcast is gonna happen every Thursday. And I told Gil, I said, look, man, we're gonna do this for 3 months at least, minimum. So March, April,
Hmm.
right? Is that right? January, February, March, April, June. So we're gonna do March,
Hey.
April, and June. March, April, May, June. Oh yeah, March, April, and May. I'm good at this. And we're gonna try it out, and we're gonna see if we can get this podcast rolling, and if we enjoy it. And we're gonna create its own channel. We're gonna create its own stuff. It's gonna have its own, I don't know, everything, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. But we'll take it one step at a time and kind of see how this goes, and see how you guys are enjoying it. And we're going to put some time into it. So, also, as you guys can obviously tell already, it's going to be interactive. We're hoping to get like clips and stuff of this on YouTube. So that way we can be interactive, but it's not terrible if people don't want to watch the whole thing. Come back and watch the whole thing because it's not going to be the type of podcast that's up on like Spotify and things like that, because we're going to be talking to you guys. So the clips are going to be a big part of it as well. But I just kind of want to let you guys know that. So hello, Scarlett. Hello, Phoenix. And anybody else that joins throughout time, we'll also say hi and all that good stuff. I don't want people to think that we're not going to interact with folks and things like that. The good thing about it being on Thursday is that the TWAB will be out this week at Bungie. Will be out, and we'll be talking through the TWAB, and we'll also talk about the weekly reset. So every week, obviously, there's a reset within Bungie or within Destiny, and we'll talk about what those changes are. We'll talk about if there's anything interesting, if we played it, if anything's happening on the weekend, we'll talk about that as well. But this weekend is actually a good example because there's something special kind of happening. So we'll talk about that. We might talk about trials if some trials news comes up. Of course, usually that's on Friday, so unfortunately we'll kind of miss that. But we can always talk about how trials went the next week after. But we're hoping that this is a solid podcast. But there's always going to be something to talk about every single week. And there's also going to be more things to talk about as well. If you guys were around for Roco Radio or Gearcast, we're going to bring up Reddit and talk about Reddit topics. We're going to bring up YouTube videos and talk about maybe some lore that popped up. Or we might talk about an opinion piece that someone wrote or made a video on and things like that. if there's anything that pops up, or if people want us to talk about something, of course, the Discord is probably the best place to reach us at this point in time. Me and Gil are both there. Twitter will be a really great place once we move forward and we create all the different avenues for people to chat with us with. So we'll go in with all that. But in the beginning, let's go ahead and jump into the TWAB. As the cross says every single week, another week, boys, and another TWAB. And today's the 4th of March. And we're just going to jump right into it and talk about the different things that are in here. So to begin with, we're not going to read through the TWAB. There are a ton of different videos out there and websites that kind of you'll read through this or give you a synopsis. But what we're going to do is give you our opinion, and we're going to talk about it, have a conversation, me and Gil, as well as you guys. So in the beginning, we're going to give you kind of just a quick summary of what each segment is about, and then we're just going to discuss it. So this first part of the TWAB has two different pieces in it. The first part you'll see here is that Bungie actually started a brand new tech blog. So if you're into game development or game design, I think mostly game development, then you should definitely check out their new tech blog. I'll actually show you what it looks like if you click on it. You'll see it'll load up here, and it's literally just called Tech Blog. And you'll see that there's two things here already: an introduction to the tech blog, and then the actual first post for the tech blog, which is the case of the missing rewards. And basically what this blog does is you can actually read through it, and it'll talk about this in particular talks about why rewards sometimes go missing, and how they were able to fix it, how they work on it. I think this is awesome, and one of the reasons is because as a person, I'm a recruiter. Put that out there. I'm a recruiter for Facebook, a large tech company, obviously. And this type of content, a tech blog, is great for aspiring developers, current developers, people who are looking to join Bungie, to see what type of work they did and do, and how they were able to fix a bug or whatever it might be. So it might be, the next one might be, oh, how did we implement this new thing into the game, or how did we upgrade the engine for this part. As someone who's interested in game design and game development from an industry standpoint, this is the type of thing that I would skim through and be like, wow, how does this work? I mean, you can already see this diagram is just the tip of the iceberg on how nerdy it gets when it comes to development. So if anyone's interested in this type of work, it's here. You can read through it. And when I said it's the tip of the iceberg, I mean, look, we're talking about straight up code, right? I mean, they're literally showing the code that they were writing to fix issues or look through things, which I think is pretty cool. So take a look at that if you're interested. It's kind of a cool thing that they put out there. And then the other thing that they talked about in the beginning paragraph, or the beginning section of the TWAB, is this thing that's been going on recently that a lot of people know about. I don't think a bunch of people are doing it just because I think it's kind of hard to get into even a 12-man group, but it is certainly popular right now, and it's 12-manning activities. A lot of people are talking about 12-manning raids. It's literally a bug. There's a bug right now where you can get into a group of 12 people and play an activity. 12-manning raids, 12-manning nightfalls. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, you can probably get over the amount of people that you're supposed to get in there. Basically, Bungie said, hey, this is fun. We know it's fun, but we're getting rid of it because we're not going to have it for Grandmaster Nightfalls, which will be on March 16th. So basically, you have a week or two to play with 12 manning, or again, more than 6 manning things. I think our clan might try it out and see how it works. When there's an exploit in the game, dude, the Destiny community, we go after it. It doesn't matter what it is. We'll talk about another exploit later down the line too. But yeah, so that's the first portion. 12 manning is going away, and there's a new tech blog. Gil, what do you think about it, man? How you thinking about this this first part of the TWAB?
I think it's really cool what they're doing with the tech blog. Um, I've always been like super into like game design and stuff, so it's always like kind of been like kind of that dream job for me.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool how they're like showing what's going on. And I honestly was hoping that we could like do something with like a 6-man nightfall or something just for the glitch. But since they're getting rid of it, I guess that won't happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think our clan will do it. The normal Nightfall. Like, I could see us
Yeah.
doing a 6-man like master, or well, yeah, probably just master, and just kind of see how that goes. Or the presage quest. Like, why
Hmm.
not just have a bunch of people go in there with
Yeah.
swords? All you need is a bubble. Well, you're done.
Yeah. Pretty
Imagine
much.
you have 12 Titans with Falling Star, and you're just like,
Mm.
like it's a wrap.
Mm.
So that's definitely pretty cool. I definitely like that. Yeah, I think the tech blog's cool. I think the 12-man thing, I'm not surprised that it's going away.
Yeah.
That would be ridiculous if they kept it. Though, it would be interesting to see if that's something that they take into account moving forward. We've
Right.
seen Destiny do that before, where there's a glitch or something, and then we're like, wow, that was cool. And then Bungie's like, okay, all right, let's see if we can do something with that. So a
Mm.
good example is the multiple rewards for the Menagerie turned
Mhm.
into kind of like, hey, how do we incentivize people, or how do we add something in here that allows people to get multiple rewards, because that feels good to the community. And they've done
Mhm.
that in a multitude of different ways. So yeah, who knows? Maybe they'll make a 12-man activity one day. I don't
Right.
know. That would be dope.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. So moving forward in the TWAB, scrolling down here, International Women's Day. If you didn't know, it is Women's History Month. And there is a specific day that a lot of people will, kind of celebrate it. A lot of companies will kind of get involved. A lot of organizations will get involved. And I think it's important. I think anytime that you can celebrate, history, particularly, I think just looking back and realizing the incredible things that people who aren't the majority of leaders in a particular scenario have done, I think it's important. And so what Bungie's doing is they actually have Women at Bungie, which is an inclusion group or an inclusion club. Different companies call it different things. But basically, Women at Bungie, they stepped onto the blog, or This Week at Bungie, and they basically told us that they're doing a very similar thing that we've seen in the past, where they're raising money for nonprofits, for I think it's right here. Anita B is what it's called. Anita B. We can pull that open so I can show you guys what it is. And the way that they're doing that is by selling a pin. So you guys may have seen this before, where they sell a pin. Here's what the pin looks like. International Women's Day. Actually, this is a great time for me to show you guys what these looks like. I didn't even think about this. So here's the Black Lives Matter pin. They sold this. Hopefully, there we go. This is the Black Lives Matter pin. Hopefully, this they sold this last month as well, and they sold it obviously during some crazy times last year. And they also have this Pride pin as well. It's so cool. It's great. And both of these actually you can get as like banners or emblems within the game as long as you purchase these. So you best believe that I will be buying this pin, and 100% of the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds go to AnitaB.org, which is awesome. I actually don't know much about it. What I am excited to do is continue my own personal streams and raise money moving forward. I honestly think that we might do a similar thing here, where I might go ahead and do a donation here, and obviously people can get involved and donate as well. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It looks like they, I mean, we read it right here. We provide many opportunities for women to connect with each other, with companies, and with leaders in technology. Um, so I'm not 100% sure what the organization does, but if it's something you're interested in learning about, you can go ahead and do that. But again, I think for a lot of people, the incentive of the pin and just this emblem is enough. So I know for me, I always buy this kind of stuff when it goes to a good cause, as long as I actually believe in it, and I get the emblem, and I rock it for fashion whenever it comes up. What do you think, Gil?
I think, well, one, I think that uh, emblem looks sick.
Yes,
Uh,
agreed.
um, but yeah, I'm always about representation for communities that are, or not even communities, but just like groups in general that are just like discriminated against for like seemingly no reason.
Yep.
um, and I wasn't able to participate in the Black Lives Matter one, but I will definitely participate in this one. So
Yeah, that's what I like to hear. Yeah, so that's available for folks if people are interested. I know I'm interested, and yeah, we're gonna do something with this for sure. Awesome. So the next thing that's here on the list for the TWAB is about teleporting enemies. This is pretty interesting. I do have to I'm just going to pause for a second and say I love it when Bungie gives us an insight into what's going on in, like, oh, there's a bug here, why is that, or like, what's going on with this or that. The tech blog is going to answer a lot of that stuff for like really technical stuff, like the rewards that sometimes go missing. They talk about that. I think that's awesome. That's on a really technical note, but even in here, they talk about why enemies are teleporting. A great example of this is, of course, the last part of the raid for Deepstone Crypt, when all of the ads are just spawning all over the place and they're
oh my
teleporting. So,
god.
so this part of the TWAB goes over it, and I think, there's always room for us to complain or just be like, why is this happening? And I think a lot of the times companies will just stay silent because they don't think we're really that interested. But I think even giving 5% of the Destiny community a reason or a chance to say, oh, okay, I get it now, is better than nothing. Next time I go into this raid and we're sherping somebody, or someone goes, man, these guys are going all over the place, I can literally tell them, oh, well, it's because they actually changed the networking system a little while back. And that's basically what this thing goes over. Is they talk about how they used to have two different networking streams, and then they combined them into one to kind of help with some things, but unfortunately it made other things a little bit more difficult. They mentioned down at the bottom that basically they're working on improvements when it comes to networking traffic, but there will always be some sort of issues, just because when you're seeing this type of teleporting thing, it's because of internet hiccups. It doesn't have to do actually with Bungie. It has to do with the internet as a whole. But basically, they're going to try and change some of this stuff and make their networking a little bit better. And I just love this. I think it's cool that they're like, hey, look, this isn't like a thing that we're going to update you on all the time. Like, there's not going to be another TWAB post about it where it's like, hey, we made our network efficiency by 10%, But it's a thing that they're saying, hey, we know that this is annoying. We know that this is a problem. And we want to fix it for you guys. So I think that this is pretty cool. What did you think about it, Gil?
Yeah, I mean, we we talked about teleporting enemies a lot. Everyone thought that like this is Bungie needs to fix their game. I mean, like they say in like one of these paragraphs here, it's like a lot of these new activities like battlegrounds and the last part of the raid and Devil's Lair uh, have a lot of enemies in them, and it just chunks either your internet or just the game's speed at which it can output enemies. So I think it's cool that they like explained it so that way we're not like Bungie fix your game. It's like, oh, we need to fix our
Yeah, I mean, you can see it right here. It says we created as you may have noticed, we created encounters chock full of enemies in Season of the Chosen. We've heard that it's super fun to take on large amounts of enemies, but spawning all that AI quickly, especially in some of the battlegrounds, may also be contributing to teleporting issue as networking pipelines try to handle the load. Spawning enemies rapidly is like a big sporting event, driving up traffic. This is super interesting. Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that they dive into it, and I think it is something to think about. Where it's like a lot of people just think, oh, Battlegrounds comes out, and they don't think about what that means. But it's a good point where it's like, oh, hold up, like this is actually a huge deal. We are getting way more enemies on screen, and I do have to say, I love Battlegrounds. I think there's definitely an issue that But you know what? Let's talk about it now. Let's talk about it now. Hold up. Battlegrounds. I like Battlegrounds as a general thing to do. So, for example, there's all the ritual activities, Vanguard strikes. I'm not including Nightfalls in there. I'm saying Vanguard strikes as a general activity, Gambit as a general activity, and General Crucible as a general activity. I love the fact that they added Battlegrounds, and I love the fact that Battlegrounds is within the Vanguard sphere of things. I like the fact that I can just do 3 and get something for it. I also do like the fact that there's a bunch of um, you know, bounties that I can do as well and level up. I don't actually need to do bounties anymore, thank God. I just do them, for if there's like bright dust or enhancement cores or
Yeah.
something like that, whatever. But I like battlegrounds. My one issue with battlegrounds, and I'd love to hear your opinion on this, Gil, and anybody else. I know Phoenix and Scarlet, you guys actually don't play as often, but for anybody else, something that I definitely want to know is what do you feel or how do you feel about the issue around loot? So I pull up Error's YouTube channel here. If you don't know Error, he's a big content creator on Destiny. Obviously, he's got 250,000 subs, which is a lot. He's also a streamer. But I follow Error for the best build videos out there. Gives great information about just stats and statistics on weapons and how good they are and things like that. But one of the things I love is this video that says you've been focusing umbrals wrong the entire time. And basically what he says is, we're not going to watch the video, but basically what he says is, well, when you're playing this game, the game incentivizes you to spend multiple hammer charges on getting better loot. But what he says is like, but that doesn't make any sense because I need one hammer charge to just get loot from this season, right? And say I want it to be either armor or weapons, and I can just roll for it over and over again and get things while trying to get what I'm looking for, comparatively to wasting like five, right? Wasting
Right.
5 hammer charges for still a possible crappy roll of a weapon that I don't want.
Right.
And I thought this was interesting, and I know Gil and I have spoken about this a couple times as well, because we were talking about how it feels bad when basically they're trying to make the game, when I play a game, I want the economies of scale to get better and better, right? Meaning that, like, for example, you can only get one hammer charge. But as time goes on, I want to be able to get more hammer charges per run, right? Because I'm thinking if I can do a run and I can get rid of multiple of my engrams, I'm going to do the runs more often. But knowing that I have to do 5 runs to get one item, it's not worth the
Yeah.
time investment. So for me, I'm putting my opinion out here already. I love Battlegrounds. I do not love the reward system. I don't hate it, but I
Mhm.
don't love it. I think whatever the new season brings in terms of the the prismatic the prismatic recaster and the umbral engrams, whatever we have to use to charge up to get cool weapons and stuff. Hopefully they think of it on a scaling system instead of just saying, "Oh yeah, over time you'll be able to spend more of them for less loot,
Mm,
but a better chance at loot." I didn't love
Yeah.
it. What did you think, Gil?
I mean, I basically completely agree. Um, like I agree with the part where it's like you could grind 5 hammer charges
Right.
and maybe get a god roll, but also maybe get the exact opposite weapon that you don't want.
Right.
Like the submachine gun and sidearm one. Like no one wants the sidearm. Everyone wants the SMG.
Right.
Um, but you're gonna spend 5 hammer charges for maybe a 50-50 shot at
Uh,
something when either you could just spend 3 in the tier 2, or just you don't even have to spend 1 hammer charge. You can just choose Season of the Chosen, the middle one in tier 1, and just keep spinning them. It's like roulette, you
right.
know. I call it roulette, like Swetsicle.
I
And
almost think it's more fun, right?
yeah.
It's almost like, I mean, we everybody look. I don't really play the game that much, but I know a lot of people love this game. Genshin Impact. The the
Mhm.
the the hype of opening those packages. You spend
Mhm.
that cash and you get those packages and you're like, "Oh, what am I going to get?" And you might get trash every time, but it kind of doesn't matter, right? Like we're kind of like, "Oh, like whatever." Like it's still you're still getting things, right? And I think in this system it would have been so much nicer to just say, "Okay, like the instead of using it, if we were able to get hammer, the system stayed the same. So the scaling that needed to happen over time was getting more hammer charges. That way, which is funny because they did it before, so it was kind of a step back
Yeah.
for me, but I still like it.
Yeah. I like what they're doing with the hammer approving. I think it's a really cool spin on Prismatic Recaster from Seasonal Rivals.
Right.
Um, but like spending 5 when your max is 10 for a high mobility armor piece, like that's not worth
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that doesn't feel great. I don't think the armor was great anyway. I think armor should have been
Yeah.
done a different way. But even just for the weapons, what I'm thinking about is like I think this system is great. A little bit of tweaking generally, but I think the hammer portion needs to be tweaked, and then I think we're good to go for the next season.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
literally you can get 3 hammer charges and just buy a helmet. I'm like, what?
yeah.
How does that make any
And
sense?
again, I'm cool with that if
Uh,
we were able to get 3 charges by doing one battleground.
right.
I think if we were even if it was like you can even if that was the max, right? Even if let's say I don't know how long the battle the season is, right? But let's say
Mhm.
3 weeks goes by and there's a thing that's like in one of the nodes where you go to the helm, one of the nodes says you get 2 hammer charges. And then the last node says you get 3 hammer charges. Even
Right.
just thinking that means I play 2 and I get 3 hammer charges, which means I'll then have 6, which means
Right.
5 charges. Well, I'm not really. I'm okay with it. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's not a great return, but it's
Yeah.
much better than it was. And if I'm
Right.
only trying to look for, because it allows me in one go, I'm able to pull roulette for 2 possible high stat, armor pieces or something. So that's kind of where I'm at. Quickly to the chat. Phoenix says, with that context, I agree. Loot system does not seem rewarding. Maybe battleground reward system meets mod inclusion / exclusion from hunts. I did like that with the hunts
Yeah.
from last season.
That
Being
was
able
cool.
to say like, hey, I do not want this role. Please don't give me this. That was sick. I love that.
You give me moving target on this goddamn grenade launcher, I'm gonna lose my mind.
Right, exactly. It's like I don't want this. And what's cool is like you can still go back and do those hunts. Now, the hunts, unfortunately, the weapon pool isn't that great. And I almost wish they got rid of the hunts and added it into the prismatic recaster. I think if
Yep.
you go through the whole year and the prismatic recaster grows and grows and grows and says, hey, you can always pick something from last season that's always going to be here as an option. You just can't dial in to what you want from that season, but you can always roll for it. That's okay. I think that would have been cool, and I think the hunt system of being able to chop off things that you don't want would have been awesome here. You also said like 5 charges get a build your own roll system like the hunts. Yeah, I think that would have been pretty cool. Darth also says hi, Gil. Love the gestures.
Hi, Darth.
We're very animated here, Darth. We're very animated here. All right, awesome. Well, I just wanted to know your thoughts on that. But moving forward, we're going back to the TWAB. We're going back to the TWAB. And we're going to talk about the Deepstone Crypt. So I actually just got to like the very end. I'm not done yet. But if you guys didn't know, there is a deep dive into the creation of the Deepstone Crypt with, I believe, 6 different developers. It was awesome in terms of the information that was there. It was remote, so everybody was on video, and there was a host, and the timing would be off, and everybody would speak over each other every once in a while. But in terms of the actual content in there, it really is interesting. If you guys like the Deepstone Crypt, if you like lore, if you like game design, highly recommend you guys watch this. If you just like the game and you're having fun with it, honestly, I don't recommend it. I think you'll get bored. I don't think you'll like it. But if you like lore, if you like game design, if you just want to learn a little bit more about the raid, it's awesome. It's very, very cool. You'll actually hear different inspirations for why they made some of this stuff. One of the game at the very beginning of Deepstone Crypt, when they were designing it, Legend of Zelda kept coming up. they were like, yeah, we thought about Legend of Zelda a lot when we were making this game, and I was like, wait, what? Like making this raid. And it's just so interesting to hear developers talk about it, and it's also cool because when you go into the raid, you get a different. I mean, at least to me, I feel like I get a different sense of, I don't know, like wonder with the game. For example, the Taniks 1, so the first Taniks fight that you have, where you're constantly banking the cores. The reason that Taniks always goes back up to the platform is because they actually are trying to showcase how beautiful the design of that space is. And there's so many parts, there's so many teams, the lighting team, the sound design, all these different people that work on it, that it kind of blew my mind. So I really, really thought it was great. If you're not interested in watching the video, they also have an article. The cool thing about the article is that there are some different things in there. So obviously there's this image here where it shows the Deepstone Crypt and kind of us going into it. There's some Fallen. This is kind of just concept art. I love looking at Destiny concept art. It's like one of my favorite. Like it's like a pastime. It's so cool. But one of the things that's cool is if you actually go to the post about the Deepstone Crypt, you can scroll through some of these images and read just kind of some general information here. It is a deep dive, though, even this post. But as you can see here, again, there's some more just still images of Destiny and of the Deepstone Crypt, and you can kind of get a sense for some of what they were thinking about before the raid was actually complete. But I think this is always pretty cool too. If you haven't looked at just like concept art or even just like T-posed characters and just think about how they had to design these characters. Like, I think the first thing people thought of when they saw Taniks was like, oh, it's Taniks again. But like when you pause and just look at this image, you're kind of like, wow, man, Taniks is pretty cool, huh? Like, and even the way they talked about Atrax, which they actually kept pronouncing Atrax, which is super interesting. So Atrax, they were talking about the change from Fallen to EXO and why that was so important. And I think a lot of us skip it. A lot of us are like, oh yeah, Atrax, yeah, boss. But there's so much cool lore. And one of the reasons that they did it was actually because they wanted Atrax to be that boss battle. They wanted Atrax to be this kind of beginning of us thinking about other races being EXO, or just EXO as a technology, not just as a race that you play as, which is
Right.
really intriguing once you think about, something that me and Gil talked about recently, which is this is the first saga of Destiny. This ain't the end. This is the beginning. So where is EXO technology going to go from here? Are we going to see an EXO Cabal? Like, this is going to be kind of crazy, right? So, anyway, I'll pause it there. If you guys are interested at all in learning more about the Deepstone Crypt, highly recommend that you read it or you listen to it. You can even put it in the background while you're making dinner or whatever it is. Honestly, highly recommend it. It was pretty cool. Gil, did you watch or read any of it?
Let's talk Cabal EXO.
Velosauric recently become EXO.
I haven't watched the deep dive yet, but from what it sounds like, it sounds pretty cool. So.
Yeah, I definitely recommend, even if you just kind of scroll through it a little bit. It is a little dry again because they're not in the same place and stuff like that. But there's some cool stuff there, and there is a tinge of lore in there too. So if you're a lore person, that's good too. Whether we wanted it or not, the Cabal or EXO's Guardian. I love it. All right, scrolling down. This is an exciting one, and this is a call to action. Anybody that's here right now, you can actually get involved, and you can actually make the needle move one way or another. As you guys probably know, Festival of the Lost every year. The spooky Halloween event. For some reason, I love that event. For no good reason. I don't even think it's that good of an event, but I love it. I go in there every time. I'm always like, oh, it's spooky, and it's not spooky at all. But it's a fun event. But what they're doing this year, they're letting us vote on which, basically, what kind of skins we want this year. So I think that's pretty cool. They have two options. It's monsters versus dinosaurs. So let's look at the monsters ones first. So this is Hunter, Warlock, Titan. The Hunter one, It's Godzilla basically. It looks fire. The Warlock one, I think is supposed to be kind of like a dragon, style thing.
Oh
Pretty
my
cool.
god,
The
dude.
Titan one is a legit ogre. Now I'm gonna hold my thoughts on it before we get to the dinosaur one. But you can already probably tell how I feel about the fact that they made us an ogre, like a monkey, hairy looking ogre too. We'll get to that in a second. And then we have dinosaur. So again, on the left side, we kind of got like a raptor looking thing for the for the hunters. We've got this triceratops looking thing for the warlocks, and we got of course the T-Rex out here for the titans. Listen, here's my opinion. I'm sorry. If I was a hunter main, I'd be going for Godzilla right now. Even if I was a warlock main, I'd probably be going for this dragon looking thing. But there's no way in hell that I am going to vote to be an ogre. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to become a Cyclops. I'm not going to become a straight up Cyclops coming right out of Dragon's Dogma because people want to become Godzilla. Nope. You can kind of look like Godzilla looking like a raptor. I'm looking like a T-Rex out here, okay? That's what's going to happen. I'm sorry. There's no way I'm voting to become a freaking ogre-looking Cyclops-looking ass thing. No, it's not happening. Gil, what you think, man? What are you voting for? Did you vote already? Did you vote already?
I already voted.
What did you vote for?
I voted for the bottom one.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
I was in the Discord earlier, and I saw what Mex typed. I was laughing my ass off.
It's like I'm trying to be Godzilla out here. I was like, relax.
Looking at this picture, it looks so stupid.
Let's just look at this again. One more time. Look at this. Look at this. Let me zoom in for you.
Zoom in on it.
Let me zoom in for you. Hold up. You see this? Look at this. Look at this. Straight up monkey looking at. Look at this. No, I'm not doing that. This is not happening. This is not happening. Honestly, and even the bottom part isn't terrible. Granted, I'm staying looking like no monkey, but I'm not being a Cyclops. No. And these two are cool. I'm not even, like if we win, I'm just not buying this. If monsters win, I'm just not buying this, and instead I'll buy the hunter one, and I'll buy the warlock one maybe. Depends on how the warlock one actually looks from the side and stuff. Actually pretty cool. Yeah, the hunter one looks sick. I get why the hunters want that. And unfortunately, hunters are the top, so they have the most people, so they're probably going to win it if they actually do it that way. But I'm hoping that the Titans, as per usual, will rally and will be able to not have this, because I think overall everybody looks cool as a dinosaur. Even if it's not as cool as Godzilla, I think the dinosaurs, they look kind of dope. I think for everybody, it looks kind of dope. But I can't, man. Go back to the comments for just a second. Phoenix says, not spooky, but if they keep that energy with exotic scout rifle, then it's going to be spooky. I mean, I do have to say, if it's not spooky, I do want to do a stream where I get a fire team together and all music's off, and I'm playing my own music, like PT, Resident Evil, like actual scary music, and I honestly, I might just pull out the scout rifle and try and make it as scary as possible. But usually it's not scary. Usually it's just fun. That the classic, the only scary part is when that dude comes out of nowhere and slams on you, and you're like, oh crap, and you run away. But Scarlett says, I think it's cute. Well, that's unfortunate for you. I'm not giving you the link to vote. And instead, I'm gonna give it to Phoenix. No, I'm just kidding. If you guys want the link, let me grab it for you. And I'll go ahead and post it. There is the link in the chat. You guys can go ahead and pick that up, and do with it what you will. Do with it with what you will. I don't know if I'm saying that right. There's not a bunch of time to vote, by the way. You only have a couple of days apparently. So vote for it, and it looks like probably next TWAB they'll announce who wins, who
March.
won. Yeah, I know. They do need a lot of time to make it, right? I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, this is literally just, especially like when you look at this one, like this is literally just drawn, where this one is actually like 3D rendered. So I mean, we'll have to wait and see what's up. Again, I actually don't care who wins. I will take the hunter one for this, and again maybe the warlock one. But for this, I would probably get it for all three. So That's just kind of where I'm at. All right. The next one is Prime Gaming. This one's a simple one. If you guys have Twitch Prime Gaming, then as per usual, you'll get some new stuff. You'll get the new seasonal projection. You will get the classic shooting the bottles exotic emotes. And you'll get 2 really boring a ship and a sparrow. So if you're into it, you're into it. It's there. Free stuff is always free stuff if you didn't already have it before. I always like getting these because you never know when it's going to be helpful for fashion. And if you guys know me, I'm a big Destiny fashion freak, so it is what it is. So we're not even going to spend a lot of time on here. Just putting that out there that Prime Gaming, it's up. If you guys have it, make sure you go ahead and grab your engrams. Cool. The next portion here is a couple different things, but I want to start with the fact that if you guys haven't seen this before, whenever you see this badge, usually it means fixes or bugs. So really, there's only a couple things I want to talk about, and this is the biggest one, Trials of Osiris. So if you didn't know, I certainly knew, there is a way to cheat in Trials of Osiris. There is a way to win trade on a massive scale. Originally, people would win trade, which basically means people would get together and through a couple of different methods, people would just lose their matches on purpose, and that way people would just win, the other team would just win over and over again, and so it was a free pass to get to the lighthouse. Well, what happened was basically groups of individuals were doing this on a massive scale. So they would put on a particular emblem, and basically, if multiple people put on the emblem, they would say, "Oh, okay, we're going to go ahead and roll to see who gets to win this one, and whoever gets the win gets the win. Whoever loses swaps to a different account, and the loss doesn't matter because it's on a card that doesn't matter." Basically, because of this, Trials has now been suspended indefinitely. Now, this doesn't surprise me. I'm just putting this out here because Destiny players, as I mentioned before, when an exploit comes out, Destiny players do not fail to utilize it. Every time when there's an exploit out, Destiny players will use it. I think generally the population of Destiny needs to remember that the majority of us are here because it's a looter shooter. I'm not saying that there isn't a large group of people that play PvP. Of course there is, but they don't necessarily care about the sanctity of PvP. They don't care about how you might feel about, oh, like Trials is sacred. They don't care, right? They want the loot. They're here for the loot. They're here for PvE. Maybe they're here for PvP, but even so, they don't care about the sanctity of it. So with that being said, Trials is canceled, and I don't know how long it will be canceled, but I knew it. I said this to Mex the other day, a clanmate. This thing ain't coming back until they fix it, because the more people know, the more people will do it. And they can't really ban people for it because they're not really doing anything wrong. So I think in this scenario, they're just going to fix it, and Trials will come back. I wouldn't even be mad if they left Trials out to dry for a while they fix some of the other issues with it, but I don't foresee that happening. I think they'll bring it back earlier than that because it is still a played mode. Any thoughts on that, Gil?
Yeah, I watched the full video on how people even started doing this. I was like, that is ridiculous. Like to go that far for in just one adept weapon in a video game is insane. But it's like, can you even really blame them though? I mean, you can, but you got to give them some sort of credit because a lot of people want this loot. They want to get their adept. What was it? What's it called?
Igneous Hammer.
Igneous Hammer. They want to get their adept Igneous Hammers. They want to get their sparrows, their ghosts, their ships, but they can't get it because they're not that good at PvP. So they come up with every exploit in the game possible, and they find this super elaborate China casino conspiracy, as it's called, and they exploit it. And props to being able to figure all of that out, but at the same time, literally just get better.
Yeah. I think I think you can hate on players as much as you want, right? Anybody can hate on players as much as they want. But this is the internet and it doesn't matter, right? I think at the end of the
Right.
day, if you want to get mad because somebody cheated, that's on you, right? I mean, you can feel however
Hmm.
you want about that because the cheater probably doesn't care. And I can speak from
Hmm.
experience. I probably don't care. I'm not saying that I've been involved with some casinos, but I'm just saying, like,
Yep.
look, like, I think there's a it reminds me of just generally just cheats in general in video games, right? Like
Yep.
cheats I think are a little bit different than exploits. This is an exploit, and again, like, there's going to be people that say get good or get better, and the response might be no, right? And then what do you do
Right.
about that? The only thing you can do is go back to the game and say, hey, game developers, I would rather people have to get good to get this loot. Um, but again, it's kind of up in the air. A lot of big YouTubers, especially around PvP, a lot of them are saying we actually want it to be easier for people to get loot, right? We don't really
Hmm.
care. I think the better player you are, the more you don't even care about this stuff, right?
Right.
Like, because you're gonna pop off anyway. When you get your igneous hammer, you're gonna beat somebody who has igneous hammer, right? Like, they don't
Right.
care. But I do think there needs to be some better incentives, some better game design around this stuff, to get people to want to play more weekly. I know
Hmm.
last season, one of the reasons, I'll just be transparent, I have done some win trading in the past, and one of the reasons being was because I stayed up until, I got off work, played from 5 o'clock all the way to like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, I can't get this loot. It's the end, so I might as well go ahead and win trade for it. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. You guys can decide however you want. But for me, I think they have to do something to say, hey, we want you to play this every weekend, and we don't want you to forget about it or do it later. We want you to do it now. We want you to say, hey,
Hmm.
the weekend's coming up, trials time. Because I'll tell you one thing that is coming up this weekend. This weekend, starting on Friday, we're getting quadruple rewards, 4x rewards for doing platinum level runs of the Nightfall. You best
Yes.
believe that tomorrow, 5 o'clock, I'm going to be grinding that out, and I'm going to get as many Shadow Price God rolls as I can, because I want, when 450s become meta, I
Mhm.
want it. I want to have the best one. And there's some really good PvE God rolls in there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get a bunch of them. Not only that, I want a bunch of, masterwork materials. I'm going to be grinding this thing out to the point where I'm speed running it. So
Mhm.
they figure out how to get me to play this game mode. I don't care about exploiting it. I want to play it. But I think
Mhm.
the most important thing is, I'm going to repeat Astacross on this. The most important thing is, if people are working that hard not to play your game, you have a problem.
Yep.
And I think what's even worse is when people are trying that hard to play the game and then they find it not rewarding enough that they feel like they have to cheat, right?
Yep.
So, it is what it is. And again, I'm going to use the word exploit. I'm not going to use the word cheat. I think cheating is a little bit different. I think
Yeah.
DDoSing is different.
That's true.
I think exploiting, no, like, I think because a lot of people said the same thing about
Because like
uh,
they're not hacking, right?
right. They're not hacking. They're not
They're just
hurting anybody. Um,
they're using a mechanic that Bungie introduced into the game,
yeah.
exploiting it to their own benefit.
And I think it reminds me of uh man, what is that called? The Black Armory forge farming, right? Oh, and
Yeah.
please, you best believe I was forge farming. I
Jesus.
forge farm like every night. Like, forge farming, like, is one of those things where the game developers had to get them to stop. And people on Reddit were like, "Don't forge farm, like, it ruins the game." And it's like, who cares that you're saying that? Nobody cares that you're saying that. The only people that care that you're saying that are people that agree with you, not people that disagree with
Mhm.
you. We don't care. I was forward from it all night long, to the point where I had a thought the other day. I think I might have talked to Phoenix about this, but I said one of the coolest things that I thought about with forage farming is that there are games out there literally designed to not be played, so when you do play, you feel like you've been rewarded for not playing. The example is AFK Arena, for example. If you haven't heard of AFK Arena, there's a bunch of ads for it. But basically, when you're not playing, you gain stuff. So then when you do
Mhm.
play, you get a huge boost of, all these happy feelings, and you're like, oh my God, I'm so excited. Like, I got all this stuff, right? And it's the same
Yeah.
thing. Imagine if Destiny had some sort of I'm not saying it needs to be a mobile game, but some sort of thing where when you came back, and if people remember this, Season of the Worthy, it existed. In Season of the Worthy, it was poorly implemented. In Season of the Worthy, you could leave the game, come back, and if you had the right upgrades, when you went to the caches in each one of the Rasputin vault things, you could actually get stuff from the caches while you were doing other things or while you weren't playing. Imagine if there was, and one day, Gil, we're gonna have a whole podcast dedicated to things that we'd like to see in the game. A clan system, the clan system we have right now is fine, but it's nothing compared to real MMOs. And one of the things I think would be awesome is if you could go to your clan area, a real clan area, let's say the farm, and you spent your bright dust, silver, whatever legendary shards to get a vendor that goes out and gets you components of some sort, glimmer of some sort, and comes back to you and says, hey, it's been a week, you've upgraded me to this point here, and it resets every week. I mean, every week, every season, and you have to do it again. Like, there's so many things that that people could have, that Destiny could implement. It's just going to take them time. So of course they're going to shut this thing down. Sucks for people that really love Trials. Sucks for people that say they love Trials and then complain about it the entire time. But it is what it is. That's my notes on it. I'm gonna leave it there. If anybody has any thoughts in the chat, let me know. I think me and Gil put our points out there. Anything else, Gil?
That'd be all.
All right. Cool. Back to the TWAB. A couple other things I wanted to mention are these known issues. Cabal Gold doesn't drop from raids or dungeon completions. I always thought this was weird. I didn't know if it was a bug or not. It is a bug. So when you're doing the raid, you should be getting Cabal Gold. When you're doing dungeons, you should be getting Cabal Gold. Again, we've already talked about this. I don't think I care, because Cabal Gold equals like a weird system. So I mean, it would be nice still, but it's not like the biggest deal in the world. Swapping between medallions or runes for the Hammer of Proving doesn't refund currency used. This has come up with me and Gil actually multiple times recently. We've been talking about it recently, where it's like, I gotta swap the rune again, and it's just gonna go away. Again, this is a bug. This is not supposed to be the case. Well, we can skip this part, and we can also skip this part. So these two, I think, are the most important. Again, if you guys want to see more issues, and if there's always a known list, a known issues list. If you guys didn't know that, there's always a known issue list. So you can always look at that. But yeah, these are all the issues there. Any thoughts, Gil?
I mean, I'm pretty sure we played Prophecy, and when we completed Deepstone Crypt yesterday, we didn't get any Cabal Gold for completing it. But
yeah, unfortunately,
that was weird. I don't really care, but
yeah, I think unfortunately the system's not good enough to care whether they fix that bug or not. Cool. All right. Well, the last two things in the TWAB, as always, which I'm very excited. Right, I'm excited to do this every week. Is looking at the movie of the week, which there are usually two. And then the artist of the week. So we're going to start with the movie of the week. I love the movies of the week this week. No pun intended. So I'm very excited to share them with you. I'm going to pull them both up. And hopefully you guys will be able to hear them in everything. I'm actually going to start with this one because it is hysterical. And it's so funny. I don't know if that works. Unfortunately, I'm gonna keep it this large. But if you guys want to see it later, go to the TWAB, check it out. But it's pretty funny. I'm gonna turn up the volume and let's listen to it real quick. This is Make My Own Audio Gambit Edition. So this guy's literally playing Gambit. He removed all the audio and he's replacing all of the sounds with his own sounds. So you'll hear him playing, I think, guitar, and he makes the music. And he just makes a bunch of noises with his mouth, just doing things. So let's go ahead and take a look.
Yum 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 yum. The blockers must die, brother. Invader inbound. Awesome.
So weird.
I think he does the running noise.
They wanted to fight. You gave it to them. Enemy invaders down. You can breathe now.
It's so good. I thought that was pretty good. I like the to the point where I almost wanted to do it myself. I was like, yo, imagine like making your own, like just making a game like silent and then just replacing it all with your own stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. And then the other one is I actually sent this to Scarlett. I used to be a huge Overwatch player. Stopped just because there was no clan system and I didn't really my when I look at growth in a video game, I actually don't think of my own skill level first. I think about building a community, and then I think about building my skill level later. And unfortunately for Overwatch, I never had a clan system, so I stopped playing it a long time ago. But this is a play of the game Destiny 2 animation. Fun fact, the real Blue Jay, I'm actually working on him with a commission right now to get my own art of my Titan. And he's got a bunch of commissions open, so I'm really hoping to maybe do some more commission work and maybe get a couple posters or something and put them on my wall. Might do something for the clan as well. We'll have to wait and see, but pretty excited for this. So let's go ahead and watch it. It's great. It's great.
Play of the game.
With exotics.
Double,
I know, right?
triple. Quadruple kill. Quintuple kill. Hexaple kill.
The fact that he killed that super is so good. Yeah, I really like this person so far. I've talked to I've been DMing Blue Jay for a while now. And actually tonight I should be able to start the process. I'm just so excited though. So shout out to Blue Jay. Congratulations on getting Movie of the Week. And with that, that is all of the movies of the week. Again, there's usually 2. Sometimes there's 3. But moving on to the artist of the week, this first one is so cool. I love it. It is an awesome artist rendition. Check this out. It's called The Throne of Redacted. And let me go ahead and actually make this bigger for you guys so you can see it. Hopefully we get it full screen. Really hoping we can get it full screen here. Yes. Look at this. So
Yeah.
this is if you didn't know, this is the Titan armor for this season of Eververse, and it looks sick. I mean, literally, just a Throne of Redacted. Couldn't come up with a good name. Wanted to try making something with a darker theme. This is the result. Pretty happy with the way that it came out. Also funny because the first person is Blue Jay. It says, "Bro, this is insanely cool." Very, very cool. I love this kind of stuff. I'm a big fan of like just fan art and fan creations because it makes an extended universe of the game that already exists or whatever already exists, right? Even if it's some silly fan fiction, I think the idea that someone wants to be in the world more is really, really cool. Gil, what do you think about this, man?
I mean, yeah, art's been like a huge thing for like me to look forward to on the TWABs at the end of it. I'm trying reading all the information.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one's really cool. I haven't had a chance. Actually, they're selling the arms for
They are.
that this week.
Which these are the best. Like if you are gonna get, listen, anybody,
Yeah.
Scarlet, Phoenix, Darth. If any of you guys didn't buy the Eververse set for the Titan, highly recommend getting the arms. They're so nice looking. They literally have like bulls on the side. Very cool. You never know when you're gonna need it for fashion.
Not a huge fashion guy, but that looks really cool.
But I am.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, and then the other thing that they have here, scroll down a little bit, it's called Bow to Your Empress, and you can see it's an awesome artist rendition of Keitel. So I'll go ahead and bring this up real quick. A lot of people like Keitel right now. I think Keitel is a very different character than we've seen. And so I think that's been pretty cool because she is much more human, I think. And when I say human, I mean like emotionally, mentally. Like I think we see like and she speaks, like a human, right? Like I think when we talk to Elixni, right? Fallen. Sure, like we've spoken to them, but even when you hear that like it kind of takes, you're like, oh, okay, this is like this weird race, it's a weird dude doing a weird thing. But Keitel straight up like, listen, Zavala, like you need to
Mhm.
work with me. If you don't, we might have some problems. You know, like she talks,
Mhm.
and especially when you do the presage quests, every time
Oh
she
yeah.
talks, every time
Oh
she
yeah.
brings something to it, it's always like, wow, what's going on here? So this artist rendition I think is pretty
Yeah.
cool. What are you thinking, Gail?
Um, I really like Keitel so far. I did the most recent presage quest for this week just before this started,
Yeah.
and she has a lot of dialogue. She has a lot of dialogue, and she like speaks like she actually knows a lot, like on Osiris's level, and like I don't know, she's a lot more laid back. She's not as like gung ho as like Console or Gaul, but she's also not as like I'm the best ever like Callus in this. Believe from what it looks like, they're from the Presage quest. Osiris and Kaido are really starting to talk and
Hit it off.
get more familiar. Yeah, hit it off.
Mm-hmm.
um, and honestly, I think this alliance might work out by the time the season is over. So,
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some interesting things going on, obviously, with Zavala and
mhm.
Keitel, and we'll see how that progresses. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody, but this was last week's
Yeah,
information, so I am going to say this. So, spoiler warning, but I don't actually know if you can get this lore anymore. You might have to play Presage a couple times. But there is an assassination attempt that we think is going to happen against Zavala from Keitel. So
mhm.
that's interesting. But we're also seeing
Yeah,
Keitel become much more friendly with Osiris during these interesting presage quests.
yeah,
So yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting to kind of see what happens. And when you talk about liking Keitel, I think one of the things I like about Keitel is all of the lore leading up to this point, and with this, we're really getting a good image of the daughter of
mhm.
Callus. How
Right.
she is still the daughter of Callus. She still feels like
Mhm.
she's owed a lot of things, but she also, her mentor was someone completely different from Callus and
Yeah.
showed her something that Callus didn't want, doesn't care about, doesn't agree with, whatever.
Mhm.
But it's an interesting thing nonetheless. So, um,
Mhm.
definitely some of the best storytelling so far for the Cabal. I think
Mhm.
there's been a couple memes about the difference between the Cabal lore and the Hive lore, with the Hive lore being extensive, really
Yeah.
impressive, really interesting, and the Cabal lore being like, yeah, we're just a warring race that comes and blows stuff up. But that's changing, I think. That's
Yeah.
changing with this. And Elixni, it
Like
obviously changed with Beyond Light. But,
yeah. Like Keitel, what was I going to say? I like completely zoned out for like half a second. Now I forgot. Um, they did the same thing if you caught it in the previous Battlegrounds quest. They did the same thing that they said about like the dark future kind of with Exo Stranger. Um, in all the different realities the Exo Stranger has been to, every single one ended in disaster with the darkness taking over everything. Um, and this is the first reality that she came to where we exist. Um, and now everything's changing.
yeah.
Uh, and they kind of like did the same thing with this like small little thing. Well, not really small, but um, with this assassination attempt on Zavala. They, when we went to the Oracle battleground and defeated Ixal the Far-Reaching, we got a hold of some Vex tech looking into different futures. Um, and
Prediction
in every
engines.
prediction engines, and in every future, Zavala got clapped.
Yep. Dead.
Oh, this is the first one, the only one that we exist in. So cool, preventing another character death.
Yeah, I do love the fact that they use like alternate timelines to kind of get us spooked every time, so we
Mhm.
can kind of like think about what might happen, or
Yeah,
maybe something will happen. I mean, Destiny has taken really dark turns at times. Um,
yeah,
obviously, I think the darkest time that we've had is Forsaken, and I personally believe, I know Bife thinks that Witch Queen is going to be another one of those extreme dark turns where it doesn't matter that we're here. This is Savathun we're talking about. You know, it's like if we're paracausal, there's got to be a paracausal on the other side, right?
Yeah, she has been like 10, no, 100 times more hyped up than Oryx. Like we knew that like Crota, son of Oryx, was his title in the raid. And we got like little tidbits here and there of like towards the end of like House of Wolves that his someone is coming. That like Osiris warned Morosov about what was going to happen. And Oryx came, and it was one of the best DLCs we've ever gotten. Savathun has been a thing since when the Books of Sorrow came out. But when the start of the game, like, and Forsaken just has elevated that hype, and then literally Season of Arrivals, like a year and a half before Witch Queen is even going to be released, they're already hyping her up, and she's literally has an influence over everything while also pretty much just talking about the darkness the whole time. And I cannot wait.
I never actually thought about it in that way. That's actually a really good point. Is like when you think about Oryx and you think about like Oryx kind of came out of left field. Like it was kind of like Taken King came out and we were all like, Crota's dad, you know, like we were like, Crota, he has a dad, like, and he has what power, and this is a whole new faction, like that was definitely crazy. But like you said, Savathun since then. Savathun's been like weaving into every little storyline every season, and she's greater than everything. She's greater than just the Hive, right? Like like she. There's always been obviously the really confusing story of the mind that she might have, the Vex mind that she has.
What
I
is
can't
its
remember
name?
her name. It's slipping me. If you think about it, if you remember it, let me know. But the mind that she has, it's like soul, like Korea. Korea. Yeah. But it's like soul. Isn't soul in there too? Korea soul. Which is why I always say Korea soul because it's like soul for Korea. I don't remember. Either way, Korea. But the mind. I'll just say the mind just in case we're wrong. But but there's that. We know that the Hive absolutely decimated the Cabal's homeworld. The Cabal, like the Cabal, the race that we're that we are concerned, whether we wanted it or not. We're at the war of the Cabal on Mars. Like we've always been concerned with them to some degree. Gaul literally sapped our light. Like they were messing us up. The Hive were like, I don't care. They just smacked them up. So like, there's a lot of interesting. And by the way, that wasn't Savathun.
Right.
That was Evil Wrath.
Right.
So it's like
Evil Wrath, like her name just showed up on a couple enemies when Forsaken started, and now she's like, I'm gonna send my highest ranking officer to the Tangled Shore for no reason and screw with everyone. And now Zebra Wrath, all of a sudden, who we're like, Zebra Wrath's not that tough. We just took out her high celebrant in like a story mission. Literally just took over the entire Cabal homeworld. And I'm excited to see what they do with her, considering we didn't get to see what happened. We haven't been to Toro Battle or whatever, however you pronounce it. If they do bring her as Wrath into Witch Queen, they better make her strong. I do not want to kill her in one story mission.
Yeah, I know what you mean by that. Zol.
Like, Zol. Like all the Korea stuff. If you've read on like what Korea is and like what it can do,
right?
Like her full name is Korea Blade Transform.
Yes.
And she was made to conquer and understand Oryx's power. And she was defeated by Oryx, but salvaged by Savathun, brought her back, serves Savathun, and simulated the power to take for Savathun. So now Savathun can take. And I'm so excited to see Coria in this DLC because, and also she can pull enemies from past timelines that we fought back against us. Coria can do that.
Is that the
So, like,
nightmares? Or is that a whole
no,
separate
that's
thing?
just the darkness thing.
Okay.
But Coria can, like, let's say we're in the Dreaming City for some reason.
Yeah.
And like Coria and Savathun are there. Coria can pull the fanatic from a different timeline and make him fight us again. Or not the fanatic, because he's like technically can't die, but like
Yeah.
a mind bender or whatever. Like it's real. Like
Yeah.
it's insane.
One of the things that I'm, and we're definitely going on a tangent here, but one of the things that I've definitely been thinking about recently is what's going to happen moving forward in terms of the sagas, right?
Right.
And one of the things that I'm super interested in, I can't remember what the game was, but I played a game where it was Killzone. It was Killzone. Phoenix, if you're here, you'll know what I'm talking about. In Killzone, PlayStation exclusive shooter. It was supposed to be like the Halo killer. It was good. It wasn't a Halo killer. But Killzone, I think it was Killzone 2 to 3. I believe Killzone 2 was like the main enemy faction came, the Helghast came to Earth and like fought us. I think 1 and 2 we were fighting the Helghast on Earth. In 3 we went to the Helghast. And I'm thinking that we have one in Destiny 1, Destiny 2, and that is the saga of Light and Dark. I believe, and I wholeheartedly hope, that after Saga 1, we get the final frontier of what Destiny is supposed to truly be, which is a game that is easily adjustable, a game that is easily, has additions and subtractions to it whenever they need to. And it's the game that will allow us to play the next saga in its entirety, and hopefully the saga after that, right? And one of the things I've been thinking about is, well, we know that over the next couple of years, we're going to go back to locations in Destiny 1, and we'll get new locations, for Destiny 2. But at some point, it'll stop. And I think for Destiny 3 or Saga 2, I think we might do something where it's time for us to go out against the darkness. I don't think we're going to do that. I don't think we're going to do that in Destiny 2 at all. I think Destiny 2 is about the darkness coming to us. I think we will defeat the darkness and push it back, and then I think it's going to be, it's time for us to go out. And I think that's going to allow us to have multiple sagas. I don't necessarily mean it's us against the darkness. A lot of people have been saying, oh, it's going to be light versus dark one day. I don't think it's going to be that either. I think now that we're saying we can use both light and dark, and I think balance is always going to be kind of the thing. But I do think we're going to see leaving the system in the next saga. I think we're going to see, Jupiter, you can't go to Jupiter, but Jupiter's at ball gas, but going to places where you can go that makes sense for us, going to Pluto and stuff. Yeah, that's interesting, but I think leaving the system and going to worlds that we've heard of, like Toro Battle, right? Or other, I can't think of it. The homeworld of the Hive. Fundament, right? I don't think we're ever going to go to the true homeworld of the Awoken this season, or this saga. I don't think we're going to. Not. We might, but I think these large worlds that are way out of our scope right now, I think those are going to be set up for later. And that's just a thing I've been thinking about. What do the next sagas look like? Like that's
Right.
wild.
I have like that has been like a constant like thought in my head about like progression of Destiny story. We're gonna go if there is like one new place, because that's what they said. Like in all of these next 2 years of Destiny coming out, we're getting 2 more new locations, the Witch Queen and Lightfall.
And they're adding another chapter.
Yeah, and they're adding another one.
Yeah.
So they're probably gonna make a new one. Maybe not, but you never know. Like in Witch Queen, dude, let's go to Fundament, man. Like that place, apparently it is huge. And it's like, what is it, like a war planet? Or no, Hive have war planets, or they did. But that's like the homeworld of the Krill.
The OGs.
OGs. Maybe we could see like what happened. Like how did the wreckage of Oryx and Zevaraths and Sabathin's homeworld and how it looks now, but I mean that happened many, 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 many years ago, so might not be there anymore. But if there's any place I want to go, the DLC, that's where I want to go. But
Yeah. I don't think we're going to go to Fundament, right? Like
yeah,
I think it's going to be about like the attack on us coming here, right? I think we
yeah,
might expand a little bit more, but it's still going to be in our system. I don't think we're leaving our system. There's too
yeah.
much to do in our system, but I think they're going to want to leave and be able to do whatever fantastical things they want to do moving out. And they've mentioned a bunch of races in the past, especially when we talk about Callus and like the menagerie and learning about all these other races that are a possibility. That's always intriguing. And you know, we haven't truly gotten a new race, and I still don't think we're going to get a new race until we might get one new race, which is the one that was, you know, talked about since the beginning of Destiny 1, which is like the Darkness class, or the Darkness people, or whatever. So we'll have to wait and see about that. But I think externally, I think we're gonna stay. I think we're gonna stay in our system for the most part. All right, we went on a huge tangent here. That's gonna happen a lot in this podcast because that's what it's all about. It's all about talking about the lore, talking about the juice, talking about the stuff that's coming out, and we're all pretty excited about that. So that is all of the art, all of the movies of the TWAB. So that is the TWAB. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. But that is not the end. We have a couple. We're probably going to keep these podcasts to an hour and a half to 2 hours. That way we limit ourselves to make sure we don't talk forever. But there's always a lot to talk about, and I did want to chat about a couple of things. So even though this is the end of the TWAB, there is still more to talk about. And so one of the things that I actually wanted to talk about was well, there were some things. Well, yeah, you know, let's do this. Let's end it on this. I'm gonna end it on this note. I just wanted to talk about how we felt, myself and Gil, how we felt about the season of the Chosen and Beyond Light. Because this is, you know, a brand new podcast, I figured we'd start off by talking about generally how we feel about Beyond Light, generally how, obviously, Gil and I love Destiny. Played Destiny 1, played Destiny 2 from the very beginning. So I think it's more apt to talk about how do we feel about this year so far, and how do we feel about this new season. And so to do that, we're going to start. Do you want to start with the season, or do you want to start with the year? Probably the season, right?
Yeah, season.
So let's start with Season of the Chosen, and it's all you, Gil. Tell me, how do you feel so far about Season of the Chosen?
So far, I think it's great. I think it's 10 times better than what Season of the Hunt was. So far, I mean, what they've done with the Presage quest is fantastic. The first like run through for everyone just seemed to be like super good reviews across the board. the story with Kyle and how we need to like try and form an alliance with someone to be able to combat all this hive and darkness crap going on. Is really good. I'm starting to warm up to Keitel. He's a new person introduced to the story. Don't really know him. Don't really know if I like him or dislike him yet. I'm starting to like her. I think she's a pretty good character so far. I think since we haven't gotten a lot of Callus,
Yeah.
I like her more. But if we like got Callus back into the story as like an actual character and not just a raid boss,
Yeah.
and not just like how much he feels himself in the Chronicon, then um, then I think it'd be really good for the Cabal as a whole to be a lot more of a liked race D2. And the battlegrounds are really fun. As they said in the TWAB, killing a lot of enemies is very fun. And it's good for bounties. It's good for any like progression quests you have to do.
Yeah.
They could use a little bit of reworking with the hammer improving, but other than that, I'm having a great time.
Cool. Yeah. Honestly,
Except
oh god.
for PvP. I mean, I've been playing it a little more recently. I've actually like not been raging at it as much as I did like
Yeah,
last
I've
season.
noticed that. I've noticed that.
Because I can feel myself getting better at it. Which I guess is why I rage so much, because I'm not the best at it. Because I'm a bit of a perfectionist myself. But I'm glad that they know stasis is busted.
Yeah.
They're doing things to fix it. They didn't say anything about the Hunter Super, but I do not think that will go untouched. And I'm glad. I'm very happy they called out Felwinters by name, so they know what's going on. I can probably imagine, or I mean, even like people like Astrocross can see it, a 120 range nerf is probably going to be coming soon.
Yeah.
Um, like, I mean, that's about it, really. That's all I can really see wrong with it. Other than that, Crucible is actually like not that bad.
Yeah, in terms of the sandbox. Yeah, I
Right.
totally understand what you mean. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like I agree with everything that you said. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
we are early in the season of The Chosen. You guys can see here. This is the roadmap. If we're taking a look, we're here, right? We're like March, February here. A lot of space in March. So I don't know what that means, right? I don't know if I assume this February, beginning of March to end of March is mostly going to be story leading up to Proving Grounds, right? I think that's what it's going to be. I think the story of what's going on with Keitel and Osiris, Keitel and Zavala and us and Crow, I think that's going to grow over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then once that's done, I don't think we're going to see a bunch of stuff outside of that. We know Iron Banner is not coming back yet. But once we get to the 23rd, just to be super clear about it, let me look. There's we have 2 weeks. 2 weeks until the 23rd, right? We have next week and then the week after, and then the 23rd hits. And I think for the 23rd, that week, we're getting a brand new strike. We've already gotten 2 new strikes. That's been really fun. I'm actually surprised it's not on here. Grandmaster Nightfalls are coming out on the 16th. So that's another thing for endgame users or endgame players to grind for and get excited for. Honestly, it's the hardest content in the game. Period. Mm-hmm. Grandmaster Nightfalls are the hardest content in the game. So that's exciting. And then the 30th here says it's open to all. That's not really that interesting. But Iron Banner comes back. I'll give my thoughts on PvP in just a second. And then we got Guardian games. So there's still a lot. There's still a lot to come. And we have, as far as we understand, there shouldn't be maybe any more exotics, right? I mean, we're seeing here, if I scroll up really quickly, We've gotten our 2 exotics that we're supposed to get. I don't think we'll get any more. We've got the catalyst for both. I actually just finished my Tiku's catalyst, working on my Dead Man's catalyst right now. Tiku's catalyst, by the way, busted in the best way possible. Don't think it's going to get nerfed, but it is fire. It is so good.
What does it
Fire,
do?
no pun intended. So you actually get paracausal, like, I think, arrows, and, like, for every, like, perfectly shot arrow or something, you get stacks, and the more stacks, the more damage you do. And I'm talking like big number changes. Like I literally went from doing like 7,000 damage a shot to like, I want to say like 40k. I was like,
Damn.
what is going on right now? How am I demolishing? And I saw Astacross's review of this thing, man, and he was like, yo, like, this thing is incredible. And I was like, yeah, it's good. No, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Like, I literally took, like, I know a lot of people have been taking Monarch into, for overload bows when you're doing these solo, why can't I think of the word right now?
All sectors.
Yes, the solo law sectors, right? Tiku's all the way. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Like, you're just blowing everything up, and every time you hit the boss, as long as it's charged, even if it's hipfire, you're going to get him. And I'm just blowing him up. I don't even take out my sniper to kill him or take out my rocket launcher. I just use Tiku's the whole time. I run out of Tiku's ammo. It's crazy. Drugan, what's up, man? Thank you so much for joining. And everybody else that's here, I do want to pause for a second. Guys, thank you so much. As a reminder, this is the first, it's not a real episode. This is the beta of our podcast that myself and TheHomieGil are working on. We're really excited about it. Again, we don't have a true title for it yet. It's just Destiny Podcast Project right now. Definitely going to have a real name for it, and we're going to have some cool graphics and things like that in the works. But thank you so much, guys, for actually coming in and joining. There's a bunch of Destiny content out there. You could be spending your time watching somebody else, but even just 1, 2, 3 people watching us, it really does mean a lot, because we know it's going to take a long time to build this engine running for people to actually watch this and give us feedback, and hopefully we're fun people to watch. So anyway, the only thing I don't want to repeat all the things that Gil said. The only thing that I have an issue with, outside of course of the Hammer of Proving, which I don't think they actually have an image for here. But outside of the Hammer of Proving, the only thing I have a problem with is exactly what you said, which is PvP. I'm getting real tired of there not being no new maps. My biggest thing is that PvP for the average player needs to be fun. It needs to be fun. I'm not concerned about the top tier players that are complaining about trials. I do want trials to be better, but if people don't even feel comfortable playing the base control, I think there's a problem. And I think big maps are a must. Medium-sized maps are a must. We have about 3 medium to small medium maps. And I would like to see some real big maps like we had in D1, where scout rifles and snipers are used, and you're like, how did I just die? And then it shows the highlighted person halfway across the map, and you're like, no! Like, I want that. I want these kind of like almost Battlefield-style maps where please don't give me vehicles again. You tried vehicles, it failed, but just maps that, I'm also not saying they need to be big enough that you need vehicle transversal, right? Granted, I wouldn't be mad if they had like if they had some, like we always get, and I know this is probably a very polarizing statement, but I would be okay if the seasonal activity wasn't PvE. I would be okay if the seasonal activity was PvP focused. Imagine, just for a second, guys, relax. Imagine that we got a huge map. I'm talking 12v12, maybe 6v6, depending on it. You do have vehicles. You can pop your Sparrow at any time, but it's a really big map, and you're basically playing like a MOBA where you're trying to get from the end point to the middle, and then you're trying to push into enemy territory. We do have a mode like that, but it sucks. I want to see a mode that's much more refined, and it's the seasonal activity. It doesn't have to be crazy. Or maybe a Gambit one, where a Gambit is good, but it's got so many issues. If Gambit was longer, if Gambit was like a little bit crazier, like there's some cool things it could do with it. And I know it's risky. Trust me, I know it's risky. But And maybe it's not time. Maybe it's not time yet. Maybe I'm thinking too big. But what do you think, Gil?
Yeah, I mean, I think like a larger mode. I don't know about a PvP focused seasonal event, but that might just be me. But
I don't think it's just you. I think it's the majority of
yeah,
players.
yeah. Um, but that from what you said, that sounds like it could be really fun. But I agree with what you're saying. Like, I am really tired of playing on Javelin 4 and Firebase Echo and what
Right.
was it? Exodus Blue.
Mm-hmm.
I hate Exodus Blue with every fiber of my being.
It's just the same stuff over and over again. And I think
Right.
at some point it's like, and look, I'm sitting here thinking like, I'm not saying we need a PvP focused season in the sense where like we don't have we don't have anything else. I think it would be
Yeah.
dope if we had like a season of the hunt style season, but you add in this big PvP event that is really different. Like imagine Saladin, Saladin. You go to the helm, and Saladin's there, and he's like,
Hmm.
"Things are changing. We need to get you ready for a battlefield. We're not talking about small incursions anymore. Get on the battlefield, and there's literally this new mode called PvP Battlefield where it's huge. It's this massive map, and like you have to get from one side to the other, and like do something and capture the flag. Give me something. It doesn't have to always be there. I remember when Crucible Labs came out, and I was freaking out. Crucible Labs doesn't even exist anymore, but I was like, yo, I like rotator modes. It's fine, but I don't know, man. You got to make things exciting for PvP players. You really do. And I think casual players will play it, especially if it's open. Big maps are good for everyone. Why? Because top players will still frag out, and players who aren't top can try different things. They can go into buildings and play CQC. They can stay outside and snipe and use scout rifles. Like they have space for it all. So I'm ranting. I apologize, Drugan. I'm sorry that I didn't hydrate. But yeah, that's my thought on it.
Yeah.
That's my thought on it. I like this season. I think Season of the Chosen is good. I think Season of the Hunt was fine because I think obviously we had all of Beyond Light. But I hope next season, these seasons they did mention are escalating. They said this a while back. So we have 2 more seasons after this, right? It's 4 seasons yeah. So we have 2 more seasons coming up, and I think the 3rd one's going to be really great. I think they're going to fix a lot of this stuff. I think whatever it's going to be big. I hope that Rasputin's involved. And then I think we're going to see season 4, which is going to be massive because it's right before Witch Queen. So it's going to be a Rivals level. And I thought Rivals was okay. Yeah, I think Rivals was good in the sense that it was world changing. I'm not saying it was perfect, but it was world changing, and I thought that was cool. It was world changing, getting the rest of the world ready for a new location and all this other stuff. So, Beyond Light. So let's talk about Beyond Light for a second. I know there isn't a lot of Beyond Light. There's only 2 seasons, so it doesn't have to be super long. But what are your thoughts right now, Gil, on Beyond Light? And I think a lot of that is like the changes for Beyond Light, right? Like obviously we got new subclasses, and how those subclasses work. We got a new location. We got changes to locations. So what are your thoughts so far on Beyond Light as a whole so far?
Well, I mean, let's start off from the beginning. We ended off Season of Arrivals with this ominous traveler heals itself and then it explodes in a huge beam of light again. And now we're on an icy planet. I think they did pretty decent with the story. I think it was better than Shadowkeep story for sure, but I don't think it was better than Forsaken's.
No,
you're gonna have
of
to
course
you're
not.
gonna have to do really well to beat Forsaken story. But I mean, Aramis, like as a villain, I don't know. Like I like her. I don't honestly, personally, I don't think she's gone
I
just
hope
yet.
not.
but I don't know. She ended up coming in kind of underwhelming. She didn't really seem that powerful compared to like her lackeys, like the Technocrat and the Priestess. Um, I like the Technocrat more than I more than I like Aramis, honestly. But
So
uh,
annoying. Bye,
uh,
Gillette.
I think Atrax is literally harder than the final boss of the campaign, and but I mean it is a raid encounter, so it kind of has to be. But Atrax is like more interesting than Aramis outside of like the lore book behind her. Um, but other than the story, um, Stasis broken in every way. um, it's pretty good in PvE. It's even more broken in PvP, and I thoroughly enjoy it in PvE. I think it was a pretty good addition. We got new abilities for our subclasses in Forsaken, but we got like real new subclasses in Beyond Light, and we've been asking for Darkness subclasses for how long? Like many years.
Yeah.
And I think they did a really good job being, even though they're all pretty busted. um, Behemoth Titan is
Awesome.
so much fun. The movement you can do, uh, the super, the all the freezy things are just super satisfying. Uh, Not satisfying to play against, satisfying to play with.
Yeah.
Um, um, the raid is really good. I've only played like 4 Destiny raids, and this one is definitely my favorite. Um, I know everything that has anything to do with this raid, um, mechanically and lore and
Yeah.
weapons and stuff.
You were there day one.
Yep. I tried to be Atrax, man. I was so tired.
We got to
Yeah,
Atrax.
yeah. Um, and then Season of the Hunt started. Um, and then that's when like we kind of started to notice, or I kind of started to notice how little there was to actually do. Now, no one does Empire hunts. No one.
Yeah.
Um, it was added in like the first week, and then no one played them again, other than unless they just don't have Cloud Strike yet. And if you have Cloud Strike, there's no point in playing them.
Yeah. Agreed.
I mean, honestly, I I think they should just take them out. There's no one plays them. There's no point to play them.
I mean, there is the actual powerful engram that you can get and the pinnacle
Yeah,
engram, but I understand what you mean.
yeah.
It's
Like
like
no one
nightmare.
wants to
It's
do
like nightmare hunts.
right. No one wants to do a Master Empire hunt. Like
Correct. I do not.
they want to do a Master Nightfall or a Master Presage.
Yeah.
They don't want to do Master Empire hunts against the Technocrat. So, and then Hawkmoon came out.
Yeah.
Hawkmoon, that is a really good quest. And I like what they're doing with random rolls on these exotics. I think that's really cool. I got my God Roll Hawkmoon, and it is very nice. And I use that thing all the time. And I think a lot of people were expecting this to be like year one pre-patch Hawkmoon, where it was like a busted. Um, it was
God.
not going to be.
Yeah.
But I think they did a really good job with it.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite exotics like in the game right now for the
For good
kinetic
reason.
slot. Yeah, Paracausal's charge is very nice if you like, even on like things like Atra or Tanix. Like if you really just don't have something for that good DPS, pull out Hawkmoon. Like you're good.
You'll do something.
Yeah.
Yep.
What else? I mean, just like Season of the Hunt, like
I mean, there were the hunts. You did skip the hunts.
yeah, I just skipped.
But I think that says something, to be honest.
I backtracked. But the hunts, man, they're just not it. They were just so boring. I like the one thing we talked about earlier that I do really like is being able to like pick which perks you want on these things,
Yeah.
or like what stats you want on these pieces of armor. That is really cool. They should really try and do something like that again. Like getting a deafening whisper with like sympathetic arsenal and all that jazz. It's really good. It was really good, but the Empire hunts themselves, super boring. Like there's no realm of importance to them,
Yeah.
unless you want to count the High Celebrant quest, which I didn't even get the ship for because it glitched for me.
Yeah, and a lot of people aren't playing it now. So
Yeah.
yeah, I understand that. I think I agree. I think looking back, was there anything else you wanted to add, or
Um,
I think you pretty much hit everything.
Aldrin coming back, fantastic,
Yeah,
and that's it.
yeah. I mean, I think when I look back and I think about Beyond Light, and then the Season of the Hunt, I put the two together. But and I mean, obviously, Beyond Light is the whole thing. But I think it's a little weird because Season of the Hunt, technically, like for example, Season of the Hunt doesn't include Empire hunts, right? That's just a Europa destination thing. Just like the Moon has Nightmare hunts. With that, I do love the fact that Battlegrounds is part of Vanguard. I wish that Nightmare hunts and Empire hunts were part of Vanguard. I also wish that instead of having these external things like the lure, the LURE, for the Wrathborn hunts, it would have been awesome if instead there was a currency that dropped, which there is a currency that drops, and instead we could decide after we grab the currency. Now, the reason I say that is because I don't hate Empire hunts. I don't hate Wrathborn hunts. I don't hate Nightmare hunts. I just don't want to go I don't want to have to look at the Moon and then go, oh, which one do I want to play and what is that again? When I could just go to the Vanguard tab and just go, oh yeah, I'll do the Battleground playlist. That's what I do. I click on Battleground playlist, I get the currency, and then I roll. The issue there is that the hammer is messed up. If the hammer was perfect, I would be playing Battlegrounds all the time.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If the Moon was relevant, if Nightmare Hunts were relevant, if it had its own loot pool, I'd be running through Nightmare Hunts all the time. And then I would spend whatever the Nightmare currency is on the lure afterwards, or go to whatever her name is, go to Eris and go to her little pedestal thing, and I'd be like, oh, let me go ahead and buy this, thing this time. So I think all the components are there.
Yeah.
But I think they need to standardize it. I'm okay with playing for currency. I promise you.
Yeah.
Give me loot. Do what the raid is. Give me loot. Give me the Xenoclast. But give me the currency. Give me the Vanguard, tokens, and let me spend them on something real. Now, Vanguard tokens, Crucible tokens, Iron Banner's a different story. But Crucible tokens, Vanguard tokens, Gambit tokens, they can be brought back to their own vendors, and they have their own little battle pass little thing now. And I like it. I think it's fine. It makes me, it does make me feel like there's a reason to play it and max this stuff out. And I do think it's worth it. I do think maybe they could be reworked a little bit and maybe be a little bit longer. I think that would be kind of fun. But I think they're good generally. But I think these separate things with their own loot pools, those can be their own. They can be their own playlists. Yeah. If Varix was the vendor, and every time I did that playlist, I got whatever the currency is for Varix, which there is a currency for, the here always pieces, right?
Yep.
If I could use those as a currency, just like the raid currency, then I would go ahead and do that raid, or I would do those all the time. because I would just keep looking for roles, especially if they were in the Vanguard playlist. I could do Vanguard, things, the Vanguard bounties for them. So, but I don't hate them. I just think they need to do better on figuring out how
Yeah.
to utilize these things. Right.
Right.
Yeah, moving forward though, the Glassway Strike I love. At first I was like getting annoyed by it, but now I kind of love it. The Secrets of Europa I actually think are pretty cool. There were a lot of them, so I haven't even completed them. Gil, I know you've completed them, and I still need your help with completing them. Adept weapons added to trials. We are going to do a whole thing on trials at some point, so I'm going to skip that for now. The secret, or not the secret, the season missions and the Wrathborn hunts. I already said how I feel about the Wrathborn hunts. I wish it was just a playlist that I could play over and over again, and I wish I had a currency that I could just cash out. I wish that was better. Even if the currency was capped to get me to stop playing after 5 rounds and then go ahead and cash out. But it's not doing that. Deepstone Crypt was a highlight, obviously, which is why I don't think there was a lot in this season. I'm okay with that. And I'll actually attribute Deepstone Crypt to the hunt, to Season of the Hunt, which means Season of the Hunt to me was excellent because of the Deepstone Crypt. Iron Banner, again, we'll talk about PvP later. The Dawning, I thought was fine. The Dawning and the cookies and stuff, I'm kind of over the cookies. Yeah. I think we should just have something else. But that's that. So Beyond Light so far isn't bad. It isn't bad. I think Forsaken as an entire year, I think was great. Obviously we got Black Armory and stuff, and I freaking love Black Armory, and I love Forsaken's story. But also Shadowkeep, we got Season of the Worthy, and I love Season of the Worthy. I also like Shadowkeep generally, especially after replaying it. I'm actually enjoying it more the second time I'm playing it. The story for Eris, it really
funny.
was. Yeah.
Little side thing about Season of the Worthy. I got my first Warmind Cell mob today.
Oh, what was it?
It was the one where collecting a Warmind Cell gives you an overshield.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's Arc. That sucks. But yeah. There's a lot of things that Bungie can tweak. They add a lot of stuff in, and they can tweak a lot of it to make this stuff better. But that's all I've got to say about it. I think generally things are going well. I'm happy with where things are at, again, generally. And with that, guys, we are going to end our first ever episode of the Destiny podcast project that will have a title at some point. I'm very excited to continue doing this podcast every Thursday. I think 5:30 will be the time, Pacific time. So 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. Wait. Yeah, 8 o'clock, 8:30 Eastern time. So find your time within there. But I think we're gonna do this around that time every single week. I do not plan on missing a week. If something comes up, one of us will probably do it. If not, we might move it or we might pre-record it. We'll figure that out. But we're going to do this for a solid 3 months, starting from today. We do plan on having our own YouTube channel, our own Twitch, and all that stuff. Give us some time to get that set up. It might not happen next week, but I'm hoping it does. But we have to find a name and then the logo and stuff first, so we'll figure all that out. But guys, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this. We're excited for next Thursday to talk about the TWAB once again, talk about the reset, and if anything cool comes out. You guys can probably find us tomorrow on my channel, or Gil's channel, who knows, playing the crap out of the Nightfall. I'm grinding for loot, hoping to do a lot of 1300s, hoping to really spam out on the 1330s though. I've heard that 1330s do have a better drop rate. I wanna master those, no pun intended. So I'm excited for that. Either way, guys, thank you so much, Gil. Thank you for bringing this up. Thank you for being an awesome co-host. I appreciate it. Either way, guys, I will see you all online, and of course, we will see you next time. And if I was Bife, I would say, period of the straw, Guardian. I'll see you, Starside.
East.